Hi, Tim Sales here with another comparison video. What we're going to be talking about today is network marketing compared to a solopreneur. If you don't know what a solopreneur is, it's a business owner who works and runs his or her business alone. All right, and so I'm going to walk through and let me just give you a little bit of an understanding of what I'm doing. So I did a video several weeks ago called What is Network Marketing? And so I defined it that way. And another great way to understand network marketing, or any subject for that matter, is to compare it to other things to say, here's how we're similar, here's how we're different. And then that way you're able to, like, in essence, put a dart right in the center of the bullseye as to exactly what it is and what it isn't, okay? And so I'm going to be doing a comparison to solopreneurs. I've had roughly 59-year track of doing business, and I've had a number of these solopreneur things, and I'm gonna give you a list so that you can understand what they actually are. But I did mowing yards. I tried it again back over here. A professor said to me, "Own it or sell it is the way to make big money," and that's the reason I wanted to move from a side hustle in mowing yards to owning a business of mowing yards, but it's really the very similar thing. And then over here, after I had made millions, I then wanted to be a consultant. I felt as though that was a better thing now that I had arrived at success and things like that, but I ended up finding out that is not necessarily a good business model. And so what I'm trying to say here is that I've had a 59-year track record of doing solopreneurship and figured out better ways to go about earning money. So here's a list of some. There's probably hundreds. So a virtual assistant would be an example of a solopreneur. Social media manager, bloggers, writers, graphic and web design, photographers, bookkeepers, tax accountants, and so forth, babysitters, handyman, translators, personal trainers, yoga instructors. In other words, it's somebody who says, I don't want to have a job. Instead, I want to step out on my own and be independent. Okay, so that's basically what it is. It's been on quite a rise for a while now. Now, 41 million Americans of all ages, skills, and income levels have entered into this solopreneurship, or independence, if you will. 50% of adults in the working space have said that they have worked as an independent in some fashion. And so it's a very, very common field that people go into. Well, why would you want to be independent? Stagnant wages in the job market is one. After inflation, real wages have barely budged for decades. Middle wage jobs hollowing out. Seeking greater financial security. Person feels as though that if they went out on their own, they could have more security that way. Greater satisfaction, pursue a passion, business on the side. So if somebody really likes art, let's say, and they go into graphic design, so they're more doing it because it's something that they really love. More control over where and when they work and with whom. Set your own hours, spend more time with the kids and family, travel. Digital nomads, kind of a nickname for them. Build new skills. These are all kind of like why you would want to become an independent and why others have. And this was actually based upon some surveys. And then there is the occasional independence. Okay, and so we call those side hustle, side gig, earn more money, however you want to say it, but it fits into that. So part-time independent workers has become crucial in trying to make ends meet. What does make ends meet mean? We used to have a phrase when I was in the military, and it was making sure that you had money at the end of the month instead of month at the end of the money. All right, and so you can look at that on a weekly basis, a bi-weekly basis, a month, a year, and a lifetime. And I prefer to look at it from a lifetime, and I'll show you why in a minute. Many workers up and down the income ladders are finding that their compensation simply doesn't keep up with the rising costs of education, healthcare, and housing. They have a difficult time saving money for retirement or emergencies. 2018 Federal Reserve survey 39% of Americans wouldn't be able to pay an unexpected $400 expense with cash. Okay, so it's a kind of a dire situation. Many people feel vulnerable. What would we do if blank happened? And that would be car broke down, water heater broke down, got sick, lost a job. If the value of a home came down, then they wouldn't be able to kind of live out their retirement plan that they have. And then stock value drop, like the stock market, they have a lot of money in 401k invested in the stock market. And so all of these things has people in a bit of a frenzy and worry. So they go out and do side hustles to try to make ends meet. The problem with being a solopreneur, congratulations, you now own a job. And that's one of the biggest things. If you can just imagine that a person is, let's say, a framer, all right? And so he works in construction, he frames houses, and he says, you know what? I want to go do it my own. And so he steps out and he becomes a framer. Well, he was a framer. Now he's an independent framer. All right. And what he thought he would be doing is having all that freedom that like get to work when I want to work and I get to spend more time with the family and blah, blah, blah. But he underestimates what that actually is. In some cases, you're competing with cheaper outsourced labor. That would be an example, or an example of that would be, let's say that you go out and you want to be that graphics designer, but you have people in India, you have people in Russia, you have various different people. Maybe you look on Fiverr or you look on some of these websites and you try to find a graphic designer and you find out that they are way less expensive and sometimes even better. And so they will go with that one. And so that's an example of that one. You're basically trading your expertise for money, starting over every day at zero. So think of an attorney. The person is gone. They've gone to law school, they got an education, and they're now trading their expertise for dollars. And if they can get enough clients so that they're back to back of appointments, then they're going to earn what they're worth, if you will. But that attorney has to get that work. Okay, so they're going to have to do marketing in order to do that. Okay, but the only way is, they're trading their expertise for money. Depending solely on your own output, you can't take off, you can't get sick. Okay, you're on your own for your benefits as well, your insurance, your 401, marketing, etc. So 28 million small business owners in America, 26 million have 0 employees. That gives you an idea about how many solopreneurs and how they are going independent instead of building an organization. All right. So here's that typical situation. Okay. The framer steps out and says, I want to do the work. Okay. So let's just call this the work. That's framing. He doesn't realize that he needs insurance, finance, retirement, legal, that's setting up the entity, license, protection, like asset protection. He's got to, if he is going to hire, he's got to hire, fire, and train. He's got to do bookkeeping, tax estimates, and the work. And he has to do the marketing, write the sales copy, and then do the pipeline, which is prove that he can do the work. Okay, so there's a whole lot. And then he services the customers. He has to deal with the complaints and the returns. You know that the door doesn't quite shut a month after they leave, and they're still blaming it on the framer. Okay, so you see what I'm saying? In other words, this is part of it. So he thought he would step out and just be a framer, but he's not. Same thing with a graphics designer. They've got the same situation to deal with. So that's the challenge that a solopreneur does not look at. They don't estimate properly as to what it actually is. Okay. John Paul Getty said, I would rather, and he's a fuel billionaire. I'd rather have 1% of the effort of 100 men than 100% of my own effort. Now, what does that really mean? In other words, you don't want to be a solopreneur if you're looking for wealth. If you're looking for that time freedom, if you're looking for those things, you have to have a team around you in order to really make that happen. All right. And so he said it best. It's a real simple concept to get in your head. Another person is Robert Kiyosaki. He laid out something called the cash quadrant, okay, cash flow quadrant. And here is, you have a job, all right? So that's the E bracket. 100% of yourself times 1 equals your income, all right? And so it's you times a job equals your income. There's no leverage whatsoever. Leverage meaning that if you were 1 in 100 and those 99 people were working with you or for you, then you don't have to put out as much effort. You have to put out 1%. They put out the other 99% to get the whole thing. This one is self-employed. This is your solopreneur right here. Okay, so what he did is that you create a job. Trading time for money, starting over every day at 0. This over here is the business owner, okay? So he owns some kind of a system. So he's got a team, and that is your efforts times 100 others equals income. You times people equals income. And then passive income is where you have your money working for you. So that might be investments in real estate. It might be investments in the stock market, buying businesses, whatever it may be. So this I really appreciate because it makes it really, really simple. But this is the main reason I show it to you. When you divide that pie chart this direction, you will see that 5% of the wealth sits in these two categories, and 95% of all the wealth in the world sit in these two categories. And so this is 95% of the population, and this is 5% of the population. And these people get quite angry at these people. Okay, so that is that divergence, that it's unfair that these people have all of that money. All right, but anybody can step over into that category. Okay, that's the thing. And these people did, and they understand it. These people probably don't quite understand it, or they've got something that trips them up or hangs them up. They're too worried about what others might think. They may be afraid of going in on their own, or any of these kinds of things that trips a person up. And the people who did step over here just dealt with it until they got over it. So that's certainly my circumstance. So in another video, I explained this, and this is which category of business do you actually want to be in? All right. And number 1, I want a product-based business. I don't want it to be a service-based business because products are easier to multiply than time. In other words, I could repair phones or I could sell phones. If I repair phones, I can't multiply my time. But if I manufacture phones and sell them, then I can manufacture 1 million of these at a time. That's the difference. Okay? And so, like this is raw resources, and raw resources are extracted out of earth, and they're manufactured, they're branded, they go through the legal side of things, they're warehoused, and then somebody sells them. Okay? That's where I want to be. And then there's customer service. I want a partner for all of this, and I only want to acquire the customers. I want to service the customers because they get the highest margins and they have the most security. Why do they have the most security? Whoever's closest to the customer has the most security. All you have to do is look in any job situation, and you've got some CEO who just got a $5 million bonus. How did he get the bonus? The sales team acquired enough customers. That's the way, that's where the security is. And so A lot of people think the CEO is most important. No, the customer acquisition team is the most important, and they always will be. And so I want to be in that spot, okay? And but the main thing I want to emphasize here is that I prefer products over service. And many of the solopreneur businesses that people go into are services instead of products. And so if you're interested in finance, if you're interested in being in that 5% category, then I highly recommend it to be moving a product of some kind. So the way that you actually multiply time is by doing this pipeline. Let me walk you through in the simplest form, okay? So you want to get customers, and the way you get customers is you generate a lead, you contact that lead, you set an appointment, you show them the thing that you're selling, you follow up with them, you're going to get a yes or a no or a maybe. If you get a maybe, you're going to follow up. And then you get a customer, you serve them, you make money, okay? Once you get good at that, now it's time to train another what you do. And that is how you multiply time. The reason being is because if you get a sales rep and you train that sales rep exactly how you do it, and you earn a small percentage of what that person sells, now you're getting 100% of your effort and let's say 5% or 3% or whatever it is of another person's effort. Okay? And then you keep doing that as many times as possible. In other words, you keep training other people. And you see, what's really, really good about it is because I want that person to have the same compensation plan that I have, because that's the most fair system I've ever seen. When you go into a job, typically the situation is that they're going to pay you what you're worth based upon your resume. And I would prefer to leave that out of the equation. I don't want that piece. What I want to do is that I want to focus on dones. How many customers do I acquire? That's what I want my income being based on, not on somebody's opinion of me. I want to do that. So then I train sales reps, and I get two people doing the pipeline at the same speed that I'm doing. Now I'm getting leverage. And that was what that whole quadrant was about, was getting leverage. And so I keep doing it, and then it's no end. Whether it be 10 people or 1,000 people or 5,000 people, fantastic. Okay, and so that's the difference between network marketing and solopreneurship. Okay, so I appreciate you watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to, comment and let me know what you think about it.